Some of the cases of sickness which have been witnessed during the last few days are horrible in the extreme. One man who lies near our tent was found to have the lower part of the body eaten into holes by maggots. He's been washed by some of the men in his detachment, but can hardly recover. Near him lies one who, although weak from diarrhea, is still able in a measure to help himself, but having lost all ambition, has given up hope. He desires only to be left alone to die in his filth.
There are millions and millions of all kinds of vermin here. Flies, bugs, maggots, lice. Some of them as large as spiders. And once they get the best of you, you're a goner. A great many of the prisoners are hopelessly crazy, starvation, disease, and vermin being the cause. I am somewhat crippled myself, but I managed to try and wash and keep clean. That is the principal thing. 100 have died in the last 24 hours.
Wagons, which brought food to the stockade in the morning, brought out bodies in the afternoon. The guards lacked the manpower to dig individual graves, and so prisoners were forced to bury the dead in trenches.
Here comes a government wagon, out full of our brave boys, thrown like a lot of dead swine, to be rudely thrown out again on their arrival at the burial ground.
Stockade Branch had become a swamp of filth. The men, desperate for fresh water, used spoons and broken canteens to dig over 200 wells, some as deep as 55 feet. Then, in mid-August, a heavy rainstorm hit Andersonville. Many later said that a bolt of lightning hit the ground just inside the deadline. For some, this was divine intervention. But for all, it was an answer to their prayers.
A spring of pure as crystal water shot up into the air in a column and, falling in a fan-like spray, went battling down the grade into the noxious brook. Looking across the deadline, we beheld with wondering eyes and grateful hearts the fountain spring.
Union armies began marching through Georgia in the fall of 1864. When General Sherman's cavalry came within striking distance of Andersonville, most of the prisoners were relocated to other camps. After the threat passed, some men were returned to the stockade during the winter. The last few remaining prisoners were freed from Andersonville during the first week of May, 1865, as the Civil War ended.
Today came an order from General Daney for us to be paroled and sent north. Will we maybe soon see our sweethearts? Hope 'tis true.
The Union forces that arrived at Andersonville found that only numbered stakes marked the prisoners' graves. When accounts of Andersonville reached the north, cries for revenge were sounded. Captain Wirtz was arrested and put on trial for war crimes, even though over 230 prison guards also died in Andersonville, and conditions at northern prisoner of war camps had not been much better.
I met Wirtz while on one of his inside visits. He stopped his horse, and I explained to him briefly the situation and condition of my comrades. This was the substance of his reply. I am doing all I can. I am hampered, pressed for rations. I am blamed by the prisoners for all this suffering. They do not or will not realize that I am a subordinate governed by orders of my commanding officer. Why, sir, my own men are short on rations. The best I can do is see that your sick comrades are removed to a hospital. God help you. I cannot.
Captain Wirtz was found guilty and hanged in Washington, D.C. He was the only man held responsible for Andersonville. During the summer of 1865, a former prisoner, Dorrance Atwater, returned to Andersonville. He had worked in the hospital and had secretly made a copy of the list of dead prisoners. Atwater was accompanied by a woman who would go on to found the American Red Cross, Clara Barton. Together they matched his list with the numbered stakes. Allowing each of the dead to be honored by name.